My name is Diana. Thank you for joining us for our roundtable discussion. Today I'm joined by Christina, Guadalupe, Sam, Sophia, and Lizette. And today we're talking about the metoo movement. It started off as a social media movement. And Sophia, you wanted to talk on this?
Yeah, so I think it has been extremely beneficial that it started as a social media, issue, because social media is easily accessible by everybody, and speaking out on these topics, which can be an extremely hard and heavy thing to talk about, on something that is so accessible, it's extremely beneficial. You know what I mean? Like, even if you had a small experience to something major happening to your life, all those traumas, they can be validated on social media, and it's so accessible.
I think that it's given a lot of women and men a platform to be able to speak on their stories and not necessarily be like, for a lot of people, face-to-face conversation talking about these issues is really difficult. And I feel like social media, they're allowing them to be able to speak on that.
I think it allows a lot of people to know that they're not alone in the situation. There's many other people, both men and women, that are with them, and that they're not alone, and that they could speak out on it without feeling judged or anything. So
I think that's a really good point, that the Me Too movement is primarily a platform for white women to have their moment, and there are a lot of places where the LGBTQ community is underrepresented, where men, straight or gay, are underrepresented with the Me Too movement. And for it to have a larger impact, it needs to be inclusive for all people who have experienced sexual harassment and sexual assault.
In addition to that, I think that it should be taken more seriously, because just the outrage that people have shown on social media indicates that there is a large problem that's not being addressed. As seen through, Louis C.K., a comedian who was not convicted, but he admitted to sexually assaulting women. He made his way back onto the stand-up comedy scene, and Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed as a Supreme Justice judge, and we're not doing anything about it.
I did want to take a moment to talk about how this movement will affect future generations, because I think that it gives us a unique opportunity as the people going through it at the moment, as parents. How are we going to change the language about these types of things for our children? I think that's going to be one of the most impactful things that this movement has had on history.
Yeah, especially talking about the Supreme Court justices who have had sexual misconduct allegations brought forward. They're in that position for life. That's something that's definitely going to affect our children. It's going to affect our policy for years and years to come. And with that, and with the lean that a lot of the judges in place have had with our current administration, is that a concern that you have for policy changing in a way that we haven't had yet with anything the Me Too movement has affected? It has not affected policy yet.
Right, like you're saying, it has not affected policy yet, or anything that has impacted us, or personally me, because, I would like to see some action policy-wise. We have 2 confirmed judges in our Supreme Court who have been accused of sexual misconduct. And with that, I don't really see a change, or anything in the air that suggests change for policies to prevent sexual misconduct. It's anything to prevent some sort of, that.
Yeah. After I feel like the rise of the Me Too movement on social media, there have been companies that have, changed their policies, but I don't know if they're the correct policies. For example, CBS had made this policy where it doesn't allow their workers to hug each other. But I don't know if that's, a correct policy, or is that just causing more tension between, the male and female workers?
I think as far as the male and female dynamic goes, I've seen a lot of change on social media specifically. There's been a lot of support for men coming, men for women, women for men in this whole situation. And I've seen more of a responsibility of men to be responsible for not only themselves, but for their friends. People who may have done something like this, there needs to be consequences brought on by their cohorts. And whether it's your friend, whether it's someone you work with, we need to be vigilant as people to each other.
And that's a great point to wrap up on. Today we've been talking about the Me Too movement, the impacts that it's had, and also the areas where it needs to be improved on. Thank you for joining us.